Us on Africa Update.
Good afternoon, and my pleasure.
Now, Frank, how would you describe the current state of policing and security in Nigeria? I remember you've highlighted it a number of times, and just why is there such urgency now for police reform?
Well, apart from human rights abuses that have been characterized for the policing system in Nigeria, right now the country is faced with the worst insecurity situation it has ever had in its history. The insurgents, bandits, and kidnappers have been on the rise. Against the entire population, from the north to the south, and from the west to the east, it has been a tale of insecurity. We've witnessed a situation of uh, total ineffectiveness on the part of the Nigerian police, over these years in stemming the tide of high crime. The policing system as we have it now is ineffective. It's incapable of tackling crime, and we all know it. We just don't have the courage until now to say, let's do something about it. The policing system in our country appears to serve the interest of those in power and not at all serve the interest of those who are ordinary citizens, or except the rich. So it's so urgent, especially now that we're approaching elections. Right now, there are only the few state capitals that are safe. The rural areas in Nigeria are clearly unpoliced. Therefore, you see insurgents, bandits, and kidnappers raiding every now and then. Look at the news in Nigeria. You hear about people dying every day. And I'm not exaggerating, because there is not an effective security system. And we think that police reforms is a good place to start from.
A community-oriented policing system. Will this actually work?
It will not work. That's the reason why we expressly say, let the government take another look at the Tony Ojukwu report on police reforms, which was set up by former President Muhammadu Buhari in the wake of the NSAS crisis, which was to tackle the grave and gross human rights abuses that have characterized the policing system in Nigeria. Now, that report has recommended that there should be state police and local police, meaning that these should be independent police formations, independent of the federal police that we have. We currently have a unitary police system that operates from the capital here in Abuja, and it's so ineffective. It does not respond on time. And we have governors who are elected at the state level, but they cannot control the police. And that's what the Constitution says. I mean, we have a situation where the Constitution imposes an ineffective police system. A governor is elected by the people, given political power, yet the Constitution deprives him the power to organize a police force to enforce the laws that are made in the state, to ensure that the people in the state are protected. I cannot imagine how a system would be that convoluted against the people. So this is the first time this president has had the courage, despite the fact that we've had 3 presidents earlier that have said they were committed to police reforms and that state police could be a reality. We're not talking about community police. They're completely different things. Community police is they still makes the federal government police in charge of states. No, the federal government should mind its business, take care of the FCT, and where it is absolutely necessary, it can now cooperate with the state governments in policing the states that make up Nigeria. You don't ever think that one police formation in Abuja will be responsible for over 220 million people in population. And we're talking about a police force that is less than 400,000, to be specific, 300,000 in number, cannot effectively police a people of 220 million. And that's the problem. That's the reason why we're saying that you cannot elect governors and make them utterly irresponsible, make them without the responsibility of organizing police force. So the time has come for state and local governments and to organize their legitimate police forces and respond to local situations with their proper understanding of the local circumstances. Unlike the police that is in Abuja that hardly understands what goes on in the hinterland, yet claims that it is responsible for policing. And the facts speak for themselves. As we speak, Nigeria has the worst security, or rather insecurity situation ever in the history of this country since the Civil War.
How important is training and welfare in addressing issues like police brutality, and what legal mechanisms should be strengthened to ensure accountability?
Now, very important. I think the issue of funding. The state governments that are not controlling the police that we find in their states are also funding the police. I mean, just imagine that the irony. They fund the police, they buy vehicles for the police, give some kind of welfare support to the police, yet they cannot give a state governor cannot give proper order to a commissioner of police in the state. So it's important that let the states apply the funds that they are now diverting to all sort of frivolous and irrelevant things. Let them divert it to ensure that it provides security. A government does not have any business other than providing security. I mean, that's the first and primary, most important basis for which a government exists. Provide security and let the citizens actualize their dreams. Now, when you talk about the issue of human rights abuses, the fact that the police is being controlled right here, is controlled all over the country, is controlled from Abuja, makes it very difficult to ensure that to hold policemen accountable for the human rights abuses that they carry out in the rural areas in the faraway states. So when you localize police ownership and control and operations, you find that the state governor, the state house of assembly, the local government chairman and councillors who are responsible now for policing the various areas to which they have been elected to govern will now hold those policemen accountable, and then it will be easier to hold the state governments accountable. So the far removed federal government cannot control police effectively.
Well, Frank, I've got so many more questions. I wish we had more time, but unfortunately we are going to have to leave it here for today. Thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
That's Frank Tietie, a legal expert and social justice advocate in Nigeria, joining us on the line.